Hello everybody. It is 16th of December 2024. My name's Chaz McGroove. I hope you're doing well. We got Max here. How you doing?
Hello everyone. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. So this is episode 3 of There's Treasure Inside Edition, and we have a special guest host tonight. We have Froggy. Froggy, how you doing?
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
No problem. See you around the traps, Froggy. You've been very, very busy, it looks like, with There's Treasure Inside.
Trying to keep up. Yep.
And Froggy, it's not like you're just someone who's looking at these treasure hunts, right? You actually create your own treasure hunts, correct?
That's right. Coming up, and I think depending on when this airs, about 12 days away. So December 28th for the next 30 days. So if you're tired of a long, possible decade-long hunt, join mine. It's 30 days, short and sweet. It's in the West Coast, right outside LA, right outside of Vegas, Mojave Desert. I hit a 1 ounce gold coin out there for anyone to find. I'll be releasing clues on my YouTube. I'll be doing funny little skits with me and my friends and their dogs, and trying to get away clues to find this gold.
That sounds great. How are you making you're saying it's a 30-day long hunt, is that right?
Exactly. Yeah, I came across this system. It's I release the clues. We'll get more and more specific, and it's a map with grid squares, and I eliminate grid squares. So on the last day, if no one's found it, there's only one square left, and I'll put out the chords, and at that point, it's a foot race.
That sounds awesome. So I guess the draw for people listening to this is maybe not as complex as what John Collins Black has created here, right? Something a little simpler but easier to find, but finding a bunch of gold with it.
Exactly. Yeah. The reward is lower. It's only one gold coin, which right now, depending on spot, is around 26, 2,700 bucks. But it's definitely more easy to wrap your mind around, and it's shorter.
So you're excited? When's it coming up?
December 28th. So it runs from December 28th right till January 26th. Nice 30-day treasure hunt.
Oh, that sounds exciting. I'm gonna have to check this out. That sounds really cool.
Hey, you got a follower from me. I'm in Northern California, so I could be right over there. It's worth a couple grand.
Yeah, dude, take a flight to Vegas, and you're right there.
So what's been happening this week? We'll get into the news for a second, but from what I'm seeing, there's still a lot going on. There is new souls for treasure boxes. There's new people going boots on the ground. This is still very hot, very new for a lot of people, right?
Yes, very, very hot. The numbers on the Discords are jumping up. You're seeing book sales, ebook sales, everything's going off.
That's right. Max, you've seen a lot of people on TikTok as well, right?
Yeah, TikTok is picking up on it. I was playing around in Reddit. I'm seeing some feuds on there. I'm seeing some alliances built, and it's getting wild.
Is there any what do you mean by feuds? Is there any bad blood already?
Well, I can't really see who's being honest because it looks like there's some help. Definitely, some people want to help, and then it looks like some people are correcting the help and not being nice about it, and then you have some other people calling other people out and saying, hey, let's discuss this in private, and some are just trying to have fun and invite everybody. So I'm just seeing a few different types of hunters out there.
I think too, like there's different communities out there, and the different platforms have a different vibe from what I've seen. So like
True.
Reddit seems very private to me. Like some people are throwing out some theories, but kind of keeping to themselves. I think TikTok, from what you're saying, is a bit more combative. I think Discord seems very collaborative, right? I'm not sure. Froggy, what do you think? Have you checked out the different platforms?
Yeah, so I'm on TikTok, I'm on Reddit and Discord, and I kind of would agree with saying what you're saying. Discord is very collaborative. You'll still have the whole see me in private or let's discuss offline. That pops up every once in a while, but Reddit seems unusually. The thing with Reddit for me is I think there's two subreddits, and maybe they're battling for superiority. One is called "There's Treasure Inside," and one's called "There's Treasure Inside." I think so. We might see some jockeying there. I've seen a lot of fun on TikTok. I've seen I forget their name. I think they're called JCB Hunters, but it's two guys in a van. Have you guys seen those?
I've seen those, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, well, without further ado, let's get into the real news for the week. Okay, so big news of the week, big news of the week so far is that there is now ebooks available for download. So if you do not have the paper copy, although I'd very much recommend getting the hard book cover just because it's a great book, you can now download the ebooks. Now, how does this work? So as we've described on the show, the book is really built into two halves. The first half is what JCB calls, John Collins Black calls the lion's share. That's about 22, 23 chapters talking through the different treasures that have been put into the boxes. Okay? And that leads, those are clues that lead to the lion's share of the box. At the last half of the book is four separate treasures. Okay? So four separate boxes that have been hidden. So that's five total. Now, what he's done is actually put out five separate ebooks, one for the lion's share and one for each of the smaller boxes. So we've talked about a few of the boxes already. We went through the word search, we went through the Appalachian Trail. We'll talk about the Pokemon box tonight, and then there's the Forest Fen box as well. So they've been broken up into five separate books. To be honest, when I first heard this, I thought it was very strange. He sold the book as one book, right? The physical book he sold as one book. But now he's put out five separate books, and I'm not exactly sure what the motivation is for that. Do you guys have any thoughts on this so far?
I mean, I'll take my first amateur spin on it. It definitely looks like a marketing gimmick to me. I was going to ask, how much are these ebooks, and do you absolutely need them to, solve some of these treasure hunts or find them? I don't know. What do you think, Froggy?
So for me, so the price I've seen the pricing on some of the ebooks. I haven't seen all of them, but the pricing is ranging from like $5 to $6 for the small ones, which from a business aspect is interesting because I bought my hard copy at Barnes and Nobles and it was I think after tax it was like 53 bucks. And so the math there is a little odd. Four ebooks for like $5 or $6 depending on the platform. I didn't see the pricing for the lion's share, but he did come out and say that all you need for the small boxes is in the ebook.
Each individual ebook, right?
Right, right.
So he's saying he's shortened it up maybe and it'll help you, or is he saying you need these ebooks to find these?
I think he's being very helpful, more helpful than
Okay.
maybe I would be, because he could have just said, "Here's the ebooks," and then been mum on it and let you figure it out. But I think by saying, "Here's the ebooks," whatever you can find everything you need in the ebook, it kind of leads you to, hey, just focus on whatever's in here. Don't go trying to.
Yeah, he could have, but he could have said that from the very beginning, though. This is what I don't
Right.
understand, right? Is he could have said in the very beginning, by the way, in each of these small chapters, all you need is in this one chapter, right? Which is a little weird. Now, the other thing is, like, the first thing I thought of, same as you, was like, oh, is this a way to make extra money? But it doesn't quite jive with what he's done so far either, because it doesn't seem like a money-making venture, number one. Number two, he has said he will donate any profits to charity, from what I understand. Number three, the reason he's making this ebook is because he's already made a lot of money from it, not necessarily profit, but the books have sold very well. So it seems a bit strange to be like, well, the books have sold really well. Let's see if I can make more money from that. It just doesn't seem to make much sense. It would be more something someone would do if they were not making any money from it, right? To try and regain some of the money they'd already spent. So I think the making more money theory kind of doesn't quite make sense to me. But at the same time, the helping you out and focusing you on certain books also doesn't make sense. So that's why I brought it up because neither makes sense to
Well,
me.
I'll add two more cents to this, right? Uh, he basically, if you know publishing contracts, it's not too high of a margin. I'm not sure if he used some company that took a big percentage or gave him a decent cut, but that would be the only question I'd have is, what is the margin on that original contract for his first book? And then these ebooks, I would expect the margins to be higher. So, how many copies did he have on that first batch? Was it 100,000 or more?
Yeah, I
I
think it
think
was.
yeah, I think it was around 75 to 100K. But interesting.
75 to 100K. So, $10, $20, whatever he's making, it's not really that much. I think the bigger money would be how much is he bringing in from his social media? Does he have some YouTubes and if those are trickling in, then yeah, I'd say he's trying to make this funner, and maybe he saw some crazy rabbit holes that he wants to avoid people
So
to
here's
avoid.
here's the interesting thing about the publishing. I asked on Discord, "Hey, can anyone find information about the publisher?" Because in my head I had it that he self-published, but I couldn't verify it. So they found the company that published the books. They went and they searched it publicly, and John Collins Black is listed as an owner of it. So he is self-publishing.
Yeah.
So that
I saw
would
that. I saw
Yeah,
that.
so that would we'd have to redo our calculus for maybe he's getting a bigger cut of each book than we thought, but then that circles back to, but if it's all for charity, then my head.
Yeah. You know what
Is
was
it
really
all for
weird?
charity or a portion of it is going to charity?
I think he claimed any profits he made from it go to charity.
Oh
But you know,
wow,
we don't know how much he spent. That's all, and no
true.
one's going to hold him to account for that. The reason why I knew this, well, I looked into it when I very first got the book was I was convinced that there was something in the book itself, the physical part of the book, and
Oh,
I was looking up the publisher to see has this publisher does it specialize in certain things, right? So specialize in making certain books with a certain texture and feel. What I actually did was the very first within minutes of getting the book, I went to the word search and zoomed in with a magnifying glass because I was convinced that the lines on them would have some sort of Morse code or binary or something like that in it. And so I didn't see anything. And then when it was announced that ebooks are coming out, I thought, this is probably not the right way to go. So it's probably not there. To me, it would have been a really cool thing to do. And, you don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to make the books from what I say, but I think it would have been a really cool thing to do to have something actually physical in the books rather than just the text. Even if it was like opening up the cover or something, you found some other clue or something like that.
well, you never know. You're gonna have to test the what is the cover? Is it leather? Is it paper? You're gonna have to do some. There could be some clues in it. You never
Put it
know.
in the oven, squirt lemon juice on it.
It
That's
would make
right.
sense why it takes so long for more books to come out. I mean, usually a publishing company can, print those bad boys out fairly quick. I think. I don't know why end of January, February, all this talk.
Yeah, well, I think though if it was something physical in the book, then the people who bought the ebook would probably be quite annoyed. I
Oh yeah, yeah,
would
true,
say.
true.
Yeah.
That negates the whole.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the mystery of the book, I don't think anyone's really figured out why there's five separate ebooks. Potentially we can get Mr. JCB on the show and ask him directly. He can give us a real
That'd be
answer.
awesome.
That
That's
would be
right.
awesome.
So let's move on to some of the boxes for the week. So far, like we mentioned earlier, we've talked about the word search. Well, sorry, I should say the past and future box. We talked about the Appalachian Trail box last week. This week, we're going to talk about the Pokemon box. Now, I did some research a little bit on the Pokemon box, but we have one person on the show that's actually looked at this a lot more than I have, and I thought he could also give a description, which is Mr. Froggy. So, Mr. Froggy, could you give us just a brief rundown of where is everyone at with the Pokemon box?
Okay, so everyone's at, I would say they're split into three camps. For listeners who don't know, the Pokemon chapter is dedicated to a childhood memories he had of a childhood road trip from Statesville, North Carolina to Houston, and the circular route in between. And then the main clue of the book is he describes a fantastical journey with a Pokemon come to life. So I think everyone's split into three camps. I think there's a third that believe it's in Houston, the destination that he was going to, and a lot of clues line up there. I think another third believe it's in Arkansas, where the kind of the northern part of Arkansas is the southern part of the Ozarks. Then I think there's another third who are in between, undecided, choosing random states: Mississippi, Alabama. Some choose his home state of North Carolina, right where he started from. That's where I think the community is at large.
Well, when you think about this, right? So there's five treasure boxes. Two of them, he's actually said roughly where they are, right? He said, well, you never know for sure, but he said on the Appalachian Trail box, I have admitted it's somewhere on the Appalachian Trail, which runs from, I believe, Georgia
Correct.
to Maine, right?
Correct.
Then you've got this box where he said it's somewhere on this road trip I did from, what was it, North Carolina to Houston.
Houston, Texas. Yep.
Right. And I think that's probably a smaller area than the Appalachian Trail, which runs all the way
Four,
along the east coast
14
of the US,
states.
right?
Yep.
Right. So actually, this one has actually been narrowed down from, admittedly, from his own writing of where it is in the country more than any other box, right?
I agree. I agree with that.
That's right. Now, I had read some things, and I think you already corrected me on this. Some people were speculating that the frog picture tear. Now, for those of you who are not in treasure hunting, and you're listening to this and you start to hear these wild theories, you're probably thinking, I cannot believe these people have this much time on their hands. And you're absolutely right. That's I talked about last week. This is the community for weirdos, which is what we love about it. Weirdos who will stare at the tearing of a picture. Now, this
Of
is what I was
course.
going to say before. So there's a picture of a porcelain frog or rock frog, and the tear on it had a certain, curvature to it. Some were speculating that that was actually part of the map of Houston, but you've actually corrected me on that, right, Froggy?
Well, so I'm not gonna correct you and say it's not part of Houston. I will say that because of the ebook, which is that's why it's breaking news, like you said, this ebook is groundbreaking news because the border of that frog picture lined up with two other images in the book. A picture of Scotty from Star Trek and a picture of a gold pendant. And people were matching that border to trails, to rivers, to Houston, to Oregon coast. They were trying to line up that border, and I kind of, me with some other people, kind of said I think it's AI because AI is really good at taking from what's out there, not creating stuff, and so it was just a format. It's just all across all three pictures. Is my theory, humble opinion.
Oh, okay, right. So, what about Houston, though? Why do people think Houston?
Well, so Houston has a lot of things that would match up to the story. It's got Buffalo Bayou. I lived in Houston for 5 years, so I can speak a little bit on this. It's got Buffalo Bayou. It's got the Japanese gardens, which are right downtown. It's got a display of Fabergé eggs in one of the museums downtown. There's just a lot of things in the story that line up with the city of Houston and its surrounding.
Right. And Tennessee, you said was the other one?
Arkansas, Arkansas.
Arkansas. So, why Arkansas?
Arkansas has the Buffalo National River, which also is lines up with the whole buffalo thing. There's a couple buffalo themed resorts with pictures of buffalo, but there is no actual buffalo there. There's also people speculate that he on the north part of his road trip went through there. Arkansas's got the Ozarks in there, which in his story he talks about going past the Ozarks.
Hmm.
There's a bunch of things that line up in Arkansas.
Yeah, and I think what I like to talk to people about is if they haven't jumped into any of these yet, say for example they haven't even got the book at all yet, and they're thinking of purchasing one of the ebooks, I like to describe what each box is like and what the clues are like for each box. So I talked about last week how the Appalachian Trail box is very, very short. It's a short text, it has a treasure map, and that's it. So there's not a lot to go off. So if you figure something out on it, you might get to the box very quickly. One thing I'll say about this one is it's much longer. The page is gone for much longer. It's a longer story, and it's referring to many different Pokemon, right? And I felt like I had to understand Pokemon to understand what it was. In reality, I probably just need to research each of the little Pokemon figures he was talking about, but he must have rattled off at least 10 of them, saying, I saw this one, and then I saw this one, and this one jumped in my back, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's there's if you're gonna buy an ebook, this might be one of the ones that I recommend because it's got more meat to it. It's got a lot to dig into. It's got a pretty well-defined route. So I mean, he says it's along the route. So you just have the smaller search area. I think it apply. I wouldn't think you need to be a Pokemon expert, but if you do have some experience with it, this might give you an edge. Who knows? We don't know what the right way to analyze it is because no one has a box yet, so we won't know. So there's no wrong answers with this one.
Have you actually researched into the different Pokemon he was talking about?
So I have I played a little bit of Pokemon growing up and occasionally with the newer ones. So I think there's off the top of my head I'm trying to remember. I think 12 a dozen he mentions. I went through each of the ones. I went through. There's a Wikipedia just for Pokemon called Bulbapedia. I don't know if any of you guys have heard that phrase,
I'll
but it
have to
has
get into it.
yeah, it's like a Wikipedia just for Pokemon. And so I went through there like even fictional accounts of like what they like to eat, like where they hang out, like the characteristics of each one, just to see if it'd give me an edge, you know.
But I would say again, just like we were talking about with the Appalachian Trail box last week, it doesn't sound like there's quite the depth of research that has gone into the past and future box that has the word search that people are tearing apart, right?
Right. I think so. If someone gave you this book and you just started flipping through, the word search for sure would catch your eye because it's something you're familiar with and you know how to do. I think the story is fantastical. It's made up, so you have to figure is it real, literal. The map for the Appalachian Trail is kind of confusing and it's very short, not a lot of meat in the text. This one, but yeah, the word search, more people would dig into it because who doesn't know how to do a word search? I mean, it's just you find words.
Apparently, a lot of people don't know how to
But
do it.
apparently none of us do because none of us have a box.
That's right. Okay, well, let's move on to that. Let's move on to the word search because I have a brand new theory that was shot to pieces this week.
Oh, let's hear it.
Still wanted to run through it. Okay, so To give a bit of background about the work people are doing on this word search, this is on in the past and future box chapter. We've talked about on the show before. There's a grid of letters, and if you pick up words in that grid and remove them, some people have decoded a message that is left behind with the letters left behind, right? I will say though that it is not solved. I don't think everyone is in agreement that it's 100% correct of what people have found so far. And so what people have been doing is a big part of it is how do I know which letters, which words I should include and leave on the board, and which words I should take away and have letters remain behind. And so that has been a big focus of the community I've seen over the last week or so, was to start coming up with different rules of which words should I include, which words should I not include, right? So yeah, we're going to include all the diagonal words that touch the border, right? Or touch an O and all sorts of different rules people are setting up to do that. Have you seen something similar, Froggy?
Yeah, I've seen. I came over from to this meeting just from another video that was playing. I've seen, and it's still evolving because people will think they solve it. People go boots on the ground for a couple weeks, and then they'll try to resolve it. I've seen Pac-Man games playing the Pac-Man screen over. I've seen trying to make recreate Dungeons and Dragon board maps with the word search. People flipping the words, reversing it. I've seen a massive. You take the word search board in the middle, reverse it, flip, and you make a massive 9 layer. I've seen all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so I think like what I'm a fan of is simplicity. What I think people are missing is there has to be a solution that's simple, that it's like one rule you apply to everything and it fits. Whether it's like you said, a Dungeons and Dragon board that if you put over the top of it, you see something immediately. What I'm not a
Hmm.
fan of is coming up with a complex system of rules and exceptions of if you include words or you don't. So my theory that I've been working on for a few weeks now was that when you do a word search, there's one component of the word search that's missing. And that component is the word bank, right?
Right.
There's no word bank with this. A word bank is, and if you've ever done a word search before, is a collection of words below the word search that you have to find within the word search. So
Right.
then I started thinking, well, where's the word bank? Where is the word bank? Where could the word bank be? And I started thinking, what if the word bank is the entire book? Right? So what if the words that you need to find are the words that are written in the book? And I did some research so if you go to Treasure Wiki, is that what it is? Sorry, treasureinside.wiki, which has a kind of consensus at the moment solve
Hmm.
for this. They've identified 25 words on that word search, okay, that they think leads to a solution. What I did was I looked at those 25 words to see are they in the book. 25 words. Lilac, no. Okay. 19, yes. Count, yes. Round, yes. North, yes. State, yes. 3, yes. Lemon, no. Liar, yes. Water, yes. Line, yes. West, yes. Peaks, yes. 11, yes. 5, yes. Zeros, yes. Walk, yes. State, yes. Divide, yes. 12, yes. Dirt, yes. 3, yes. Square, yes. Quarry, no. Sapphire, yes. So out of the 25 words, 22 of them there appear
Hmm.
in the book. The problem with this is we just talked about how there are 5 ebooks and that all of them can be solved within that ebook, but I'm not letting go of the theory just yet. So what I'm thinking is if that happens to for some reason not be true, that that each ebook is on its own and you don't need the rest of the book, right? If that is not true, I'm going on the theory that the words that you leave in are the words that are actually in the book.
Hmm.
Okay? Now I said lemon was not in the book, but um, if you go a little further, these are the words that are standalone words. So lemon is not by itself in the book. But if you go backwards, gnome is a word, and that is part of another word in the rest of the book. So you can kind of
Oh,
start going
okay.
down a rabbit hole of things that are breaking the rules, so to speak. But I thought, you know what? 22 of the words were correct, right? And in the word search, 3 were not. Maybe those 3 are just not right. Maybe they shouldn't be on the word search where people have speculated so far. I think
Hmm.
most people are in agreement that the code that is left over is not quite correct. Maybe what's missing here is those 3 words should not be there selected because they are not in the book itself. What do you think about the theory?
and we would get a different code. I like the theory. I mean, that did stand out. Every word, it's true. When you do a word search, it has a word bank. I saw a post on Reddit this morning that was my teacher, my son's teacher gave him this Christmas word search to do, and it was find all these words, and Santa was one of the words he's supposed to find, but Santa wasn't in the word bank. I don't know. It was on Reddit like top page, but you're right. Every word bank every word search I've done has a word bank, and this one doesn't. So what's up with that?
Yeah. And I think, well, I started thinking about this because when you look at the word search, it's uncanny how many of the words are actually in the rest of the book. Well, I was thinking too that maybe it's just pulling from the chapters from the numbers that are mentioned in the word search as well, right? So, but some of those are still not mentioned through the whole book. So it's a working theory. I'm hoping someone can run with it. Find the box, give me $10 or something.
But I mean, you. So here, this is one thing. So even though he says everything you need to find the treasures in the box, that could still be true, and yours could still be true because this could just be extra clues or extra information.
So from what I can tell, and people can correct me, I found 22 of the 25 that people are looking for. I found extra words in the word search, but they weren't in the book, so they didn't get counted, right? And other people found extra words, like shim, for example, is a word.
Shim, eons, dose, less. There's a whole bunch of other ones. But now that there is the ebook, assuming you have the Apple Reader or Kindle, it'll make it easier to search because now they'll have search functions.
That's right. I should mention dose is not in it, less is. That's what
There
ruined
we
it. So
go.
less is the only one that should be included that is currently not included and messes with the phrase we have right now. Okay, moving on a little bit. What I wanted to talk about quickly. Hopefully this is quick. It's a mathematical analysis. Maybe it'll take longer than I expect. Okay, so I talked a lot about last week about coincidences. What is a coincidence? What is not a coincidence?
Hmm.
And really, I think this is a lot of what treasure hunting is. You find patterns, and then you say to your brain, what's the chances this is a coincidence versus this is exactly what was put in here for me to find the treasure, right? And that's what a big
Right.
part of this is. So, what I'm doing is introducing the theory of quantifying this as best you can, okay? So, what I did was one of the things that stood out to me at the word search was the fact that the word search is listed as an anagram. Anagram being a word where you mix up the letters in different spots. So, I said this last week, but say cat, TAC is an anagram for cat because you could also say CAT, TAC, right? What I did was I looked at the word search, looked at all the different ways that 10-letter word could fit within the grid, whether it's left, right, up, down, diagonal, each way, and looked at what are the chances that this happened randomly. Okay, so I call it the typing monkey theorem. So I think there's some phrase that someone had mentioned before that if you run for infinity and had monkeys typing at typewriters, you will get the complete works of Shakespeare of infinity. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, but that's where it came from. My thinking was if a monkey was typing at a typewriter for the word search, what is the chances that it randomly would have put these words in a row that is an anagram for the word search within a word search? Okay? Let me ask both of
What'd
you.
you find out? What'd you get?
What do you think? What do you think it is? What do you think is the chances of that happening?
Less than a thousandth, less, maybe around a millionth.
What do you think?
Very slim.
Very slim.
Yeah, very slim chance of randomly happening. But so this anagram, right? It's not back. It's backwards or diagonal. It's not completely scrambled, right?
It's completely scrambled, but it can go in any direction. Go left, right, diagonal, up,
Oh,
down.
so it is also scrambled. The
Yeah,
words aren't in some type of order.
correct. Yes, yeah. And so I looked at all the different ways it could be, right? Well, I'll tell you, it's at least less than 1 in 10,000,
Wow.
right? And so it could actually be a lot less than that. So think about that. The chances of a monkey and a typewriter punching these out and actually getting the word searches and anagrams less than 1 in 10,000. What does that mean then for the alternative? Almost certainly it was put there on purpose because there's very, very little
I agree.
chance
Yep.
that someone could have done that randomly. Okay. Which means that the anagram theory of solving it is definitely on the right track. Almost certainly on
Right.
the right track.
Yeah.
A few other things to go over. The cryptogram that's at the bottom that has from strong to stream I didn't do that mathematically, but I know from trying to solve the anagram, there's absolutely no way that's random. You can get words that not only are words, that all of them turn out to be actual English words, but the fact that it actually makes sense
Mm.
is impossible for that to be random.
I'd agree.
No, I agree with that. Yep.
Okay, one other thing though that is not random I want to go through. Do you remember the word search? People are looking for two-letter abbreviations for states.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah, yeah. I'm a big
And
fan of that
saying,
one.
I've seen Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina. I thought, well, what's the chances that you would see actually a state, a two-letter abbreviation of a state within the word search? Again, did a mathematical analysis. Doesn't mean a whole lot for the solve. But on average, monkeys typing at typewriters, right? They would type, from what I calculated, about 700 state abbreviations in that grid. Now you think, is there even 700 letters in there? There's not 700 letters, but the combinations are there. If you take one
Mm.
letter and go around it, right, there's a number of
Yeah,
different
yeah.
combinations, right? So the average amount randomly would be 700 uh, state abbreviations there, meaning that is a coincidence a lot of the time. What I would caution people is if you're looking at two-letter combinations, there's so many ways of making those combinations
That's a good point.
that you'll easily come across those all throughout the word search. So I'll be very careful with those. Getting a 10-letter word that matches exactly the word search, very, very rare. So that's the two ends of the spectrum, right?
Hmm.
The state abbreviations, very much a coincidence, unless it was placed exactly like they are on the map, which is kind of like what some people are seeing. The other one, though, definitely not a coincidence. So I think we should start talking about this. I think we should start quantifying some of these to figure out, is it a coincidence or not?
I do like the mathematical, like you said, the mathematical approach to the solve. I think it's pretty handy and it will reveal a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and then people like me, again, too much time in our hands, can sit there and do mathematical equations on a word search. What's happened to my life? Anyway, that's pretty much it for the week of what I wanted to talk about. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about this week?
I mean, I just want to confirm that I don't need the hardback. I don't have to wait anymore, and I can get them on the e version.
That's right. That's
That's
tonight taking
confirmed.
care of you.
Okay, good.
That's confirmed. I think this morning he sent out an email. If you're on that the hardbacks are at port, which is kind of a mysterious phrase. They're at port
I thought it
Yeah,
was
where are they
because
getting shipped from? You
China.
didn't use a US. Okay.
They come from China. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
also thought that was strange though. Like it's coming on a ship. Like it sounded like the 1700s. Like the ship hand is going to offload them into a big
the
crate.
It's just
longshoremen. Now
cheaper.
you're waiting on the longshoremen
Now
to
I
unload
see
it.
why it took 45 days because they had to print them and then ship them. Okay.
That's right. Well, everyone, thanks for joining this week. Thank you, Froggy. Thank you, Max, for joining us. We'll come back next week. There's only one box left to go through, which is the Forest Fen box. So hopefully we can check that out next week.
Oh, that's a fun one. That's a fun one to get into.
And Froggy, so how can people contact you if they want to get in touch with you? You have a YouTube channel, right, as well, and I think
Yes.
TikTok.
So yes, YouTube and TikTok. I'm Estate's Quest on both of them. So Estate's Quest, if you search it on YouTube or on TikTok, you'll see me pop up.
That's right.
Thanks.
Well,
Yeah. Thanks for
everyone,
joining us,
thanks for
Froggy,
joining
and
us. Have a
Yeah,
great
yeah,
thanks,
yeah.
guys.
Christmas.
Thanks for having me,
Take
guys.
care.
Thanks. Later, guys.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Yeah.